Imagine having a superpower that could make you wiser, happier, and more at peace with yourself. Sounds amazing, right? Well, here's the good news. You already have this power inside you. It's called reflection. But here's the catch. Many of us aren't using this superpower to its full potential. We're like superheroes who forgot how to fly. Today, we're going to change that. We're going to unlock the true power of reflection and learn how to use it to transform our lives and boost our spiritual growth. Think about it. How often do you take the time to really look inside yourself? To ask the big questions about who you are, what you want, and why you do the things you do? If you're like most people, probably not often enough. But that's okay. We're going to fix that together. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools you need to master the art of reflection and use it to create real, lasting change in your life. But before we dive in, I want you to know something important. Improving your reflection skills isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more you. It's about peeling back the layers of doubt, fear, and confusion to reveal the amazing person you've always been underneath. Are you ready to meet that person? Are you ready to unlock your inner wisdom and start living a more purposeful, fulfilling life? If so, then let's begin this journey together. You might be wondering, why should I care about reflection? What's the big deal? Well, let me tell you, reflection is like a secret weapon for personal growth and spiritual development. It's the key that unlocks the door to self-understanding, and without it, we're just wandering through life on autopilot. Think about the last time you made a mistake. Maybe you said something you regret, or made a decision that didn't turn out well. How did you handle it? Did you brush it off and move on? Or did you take the time to think about what happened and why? If you're like most people, you probably did the first one. And that's where the problem lies. When we don't reflect on our experiences, we miss out on valuable lessons. We keep making the same mistakes over and over again, like a hamster on a wheel, never really getting anywhere. But when we take the time to reflect, we give ourselves the chance to learn, grow, and do better next time. Reflection isn't just about avoiding mistakes, though. It's about understanding ourselves on a deeper level. It's about figuring out what makes us tick, what drives us, what scares us, and what excites us. When we reflect, we start to see patterns in our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. We start to understand why we react the way we do in certain situations. This understanding is powerful. It's like having a map of your own mind. And just like a map helps you navigate unfamiliar territory, understanding yourself helps you navigate life's challenges. You start to make choices that align with your true self, rather than just reacting to whatever life throws at you. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get how reflection can help me understand myself better, but what does this have to do with spirituality? Well, the truth is, reflection and spirituality are deeply connected. At its core, spirituality is about connecting with something bigger than ourselves. It's about understanding our place in the universe and finding meaning in our lives. And guess what? You can't do any of that without reflection. When you reflect, you're not just thinking about your day-to-day experiences. You're asking the big questions. Why am I here? What's my purpose? What really matters to me? These are spiritual questions, and reflecting on them can lead to profound insights and a deeper sense of peace and purpose. Now, let's talk about what happens when we don't reflect. Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions in life? Like you're living on autopilot, doing the same things day after day without really knowing why? That's what happens when we don't take the time to reflect. Without reflection, we can end up feeling stuck, unfulfilled, and disconnected from ourselves and others. We might make choices that don't align with our values, simply because we've never taken the time to figure out what our values are. We might stay in situations that make us unhappy because we haven't reflected on what truly brings us joy. And here's the thing. Life is always teaching us lessons. Every experience, good or bad, has something to teach us. But if we're not reflecting, we're not learning. We're like students who never do their homework. We might show up to class every day, but we're not really getting the full benefit of our education. On the other hand, when we make reflection a regular part of our lives, amazing things start to happen. We become more self-aware, which means we're better able to manage our emotions and reactions. We make better decisions because we understand our motivations and values. We become more empathetic because we've taken the time to understand our own thoughts and feelings. Reflection also helps us grow spiritually. It allows us to tap into our inner wisdom, that quiet voice inside that knows what's best for us. It helps us connect with our higher self, or whatever you want to call that part of us that's connected to something greater. And here's the really exciting part. As we grow through reflection, we start to see positive changes in our lives. Our relationships improve because we're more understanding and patient. We feel more fulfilled in our work because we've taken the time to align our actions with our values. We feel more at peace because we're living in harmony with our true selves. So, reflection isn't just some nice-to-have skill. It's not something you do when you have a few spare minutes. It's a powerful tool for personal and spiritual transformation. It's the key to living a more authentic, purposeful, and fulfilling life. But here's the catch. Like any skill, reflection takes practice. It's not always easy, especially at first. It requires us to be honest with ourselves, to face our fears and insecurities, to acknowledge our mistakes and shortcomings. But the rewards are worth it. The insights you gain, the growth you experience, the sense of peace and purpose you develop, these are priceless. So, are you ready to harness the power of reflection? Are you ready to unlock your inner wisdom and start living a more intentional, meaningful life? If so, then stick with me. In the next section, we're going to dive deeper into what reflection really is and how you can start practicing it in your own life. Now that we understand why reflection is so important, let's talk about what it actually is. At its simplest, reflection is the act of thinking deeply about something. But it's more than just thinking. It's a special kind of thinking that involves looking back on your experiences, examining your thoughts and feelings, and trying to understand them better. Imagine you're watching a movie. When you're in the middle of the movie, you're caught up in the story, reacting to what's happening on screen. But when the movie's over, you might spend some time thinking about it. You might ask yourself what you liked or didn't like, what the movie meant, how it made you feel. That's a bit like reflection. When we reflect, we're stepping back from our lives and looking at them as if we were watching a movie. We're not just living our experiences, we're thinking about them. We're asking questions, noticing patterns, and trying to make sense of things. But reflection is more than just thinking about your day or remembering what happened. It's an active process. When you reflect, you're not just passively reviewing your experiences. You're actively engaging with them. You're asking questions, making connections, and trying to learn something. For example, let's say you had an argument with a friend. Simple thinking might involve replaying the argument in your mind, remembering what was said. But reflection goes deeper. When you reflect on the argument, you might ask yourself questions like, why did I react the way I did? What was I feeling? What might my friend have been feeling? What could I have done differently? What can I learn from this experience? Another important aspect of reflection is that it involves both thoughts and feelings. When we reflect, we're not just thinking about what happened. We're also tuning into our emotions. How did we feel in that moment? Why did we feel that way? What do those feelings tell us about ourselves and what's important to us? This emotional component is crucial because our feelings often hold important clues about our values, our needs, and our true selves. By reflecting on our emotions, we can gain deeper insights into who we are and what matters to us. In the context of spirituality, reflection takes on an even deeper meaning. Spiritual reflection involves thinking about our experiences in relation to our beliefs, values, and sense of purpose. It's about connecting our everyday experiences to our larger understanding of life and our place in the world. For example, you might reflect on how your actions align with your spiritual beliefs. Or you might contemplate how a challenging experience has helped you grow spiritually. This kind of reflection can lead to profound insights and a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. Now, it's important to note that reflection is different from overthinking or ruminating. Overthinking involves getting stuck in negative thought patterns, often worrying about things we can't control or replaying negative experiences over and over without gaining any new insights. Reflection, on the other hand, is purposeful and constructive. It's not about dwelling on problems, but about understanding them better so we can learn and grow. When we reflect, we're not just thinking about what happened, but what we can learn from it and how we can use that learning to move forward. Think of reflection as a tool for self-discovery. It's like being your own therapist or life coach. When you reflect, you're asking yourself important questions and really listening to the answers. You're getting to know yourself better, understanding your motivations, your fears, your dreams. This self-knowledge is incredibly powerful. When you understand yourself better, you can make choices that align with your true self. You can set goals that really matter to you. You can build relationships based on genuine understanding and authenticity. So what does reflection look like in practice? Well, it can take many forms. It might be sitting quietly and thinking about your day. It might be writing in a journal, exploring your thoughts and feelings on paper. It might be talking with a trusted friend, sharing your experiences and insights. For some people, reflection happens during meditation or prayer. For others, it happens while taking a walk in nature or engaging in a creative activity. The specific form doesn't matter as much as the intention behind it. The intention to understand yourself better, to learn from your experiences, and to grow as a person. One of the beautiful things about reflection is that it's a lifelong journey. There's always more to learn about ourselves, always new insights to gain. As we grow and change, our reflections change too. The questions we ask ourselves, the insights we gain, they evolve as we do. This means that reflection is not a destination, but a journey. It's not about reaching some perfect state of self-understanding, but about continually growing and evolving. Each time we reflect, we have the opportunity to learn something new about ourselves and the world around us. Now, I want to be honest with you. Reflection isn't always easy. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable or even painful. When we reflect, we might have to face things about ourselves that we don't like. We might have to confront our mistakes or shortcomings. We might have to acknowledge difficult emotions or painful experiences. But this discomfort is part of the growth process. Just like exercise can be uncomfortable but leads to physical strength, reflection can be challenging but leads to emotional and spiritual strength. The insights we gain through reflection, even when they're difficult, help us grow and become better versions of ourselves. The good news is that reflection is a skill that anyone can develop. Like any skill, it gets easier with practice. You don't need any special equipment or training. You just need a willingness to look inward and a commitment to making reflection a regular part of your life. In fact, one of the best ways to improve your reflection skills is to make it a daily practice. Even just a few minutes of reflection each day can make a big difference. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. As you develop your reflection skills, you'll start to notice changes in your life. You might find that you're more aware of your thoughts and feelings. You might make decisions with more confidence because you understand yourself better. You might find it easier to connect with others because you're more in tune with your own emotions. On a spiritual level, regular reflection can lead to a deeper sense of peace and purpose. It can help you feel more connected to something larger than yourself. It can bring a sense of meaning to your everyday experiences. In many spiritual traditions, reflection is seen as a path to wisdom. It's through reflection that we gain not just knowledge, but understanding. We learn not just facts about ourselves and the world, but deeper truths about life and what it means to be human. This kind of wisdom doesn't come from books or lectures. It comes from living, experiencing, and reflecting. It's a wisdom that's personal and profound, rooted in your own experiences and insights. So, as we wrap up this section, I want you to start thinking about reflection in your own life. How often do you take the time to really look inward? What might you gain by making reflection a more regular part of your life? Remember, there's no right or wrong way to reflect. The key is to find a way that works for you, that feels authentic and meaningful. In the next sections, we'll explore some specific techniques and practices that can help you develop your reflection skills. But for now, just start to open yourself up to the idea of reflection. Start to notice your thoughts and feelings. Start to ask yourself questions about your experiences. You're embarking on a powerful journey of self-discovery and growth. It might not always be easy, but I promise you, it's worth it. the insights you gain, the growth you experience, the wisdom you develop. These are gifts that will enrich your life in countless ways. So, are you ready to dive deeper into the practice of reflection? Are you ready to unlock your inner wisdom and start living a more intentional, meaningful life? If so, then let's continue this journey together. In the next section, we'll explore some practical ways to create space for reflection in your life. When it comes to reflection, where you do it matters just as much as how you do it. Think about it. Have you ever tried to have a deep, meaningful conversation in a noisy, crowded place? It's not easy, right? The same goes for the conversation you have with yourself during reflection. You need a space that allows you to hear your own thoughts clearly. A quiet, comfortable space is like a sanctuary for your mind. It's a place where you can let your guard down, where you can be completely honest with yourself without worrying about what others might think. This doesn't mean you need a fancy meditation room or a secluded retreat in the mountains. Your quiet space could be a corner of your bedroom, a spot in your backyard, or even a local park. The key is to find a place where you feel safe and relaxed. A place where you can breathe deeply and let your thoughts flow freely. This might be different for everyone. Some people find peace in nature, surrounded by trees and fresh air. Others might prefer a cozy indoor spot, maybe with a favorite blanket or a cup of tea nearby. If you're having trouble finding a suitable space, don't worry. You can create one. Maybe it's a comfy chair in a quiet corner of your home. You could add a small table for your journal, a soft lamp for gentle lighting, or a plant to bring a touch of nature indoors. The goal is to create an environment that feels inviting and conducive to introspection. Remember, your reflection space doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be a place where you can consistently go to turn inward. Over time, simply being in this space will start to signal to your mind that it's time for reflection. Now, let's talk about when to reflect. Just like finding the right place, finding the right time can make a big difference in the quality of your reflection practice. The best time to reflect is when you're not rushed or distracted, when you can give your full attention to your thoughts and feelings. For many people, early morning works well. There's a special quality to those early hours when the world is still quiet and your mind is fresh from sleep. You might find it easier to connect with your inner self before the busyness of the day takes over. Others prefer to reflect in the evening, using it as a way to process the events of the day and wind down before sleep. This can be a great way to clear your mind and find closure before bed. While the specific time you choose isn't as important as consistency, try to make reflection a regular part of your routine. Maybe it's the first thing you do after your morning coffee, or the last thing you do before bed. By setting aside a specific time each day for reflection, you're more likely to stick with it and make it a habit. That said, don't be too rigid. Life happens, and there will be days when your usual reflection time just doesn't work out. That's okay. The important thing is to be flexible and find another time that day if you can. While having a dedicated time for deeper reflection is valuable, don't underestimate the power of short reflection moments throughout your day. Maybe you take a few minutes during your lunch break to check in with yourself. Or perhaps you use your commute time, if you're not driving, to reflect on your morning and set intentions for the rest of the day. These little moments of reflection can add up and help you stay connected with yourself throughout the day. They're like mini check-ins, keeping you aligned with your values and goals. Many people find it helpful to create a small ritual around their reflection time. This could be as simple as lighting a candle, taking a few deep breaths, or saying a short prayer or affirmation. These rituals can help signal to your mind and body that it's time to shift gears and turn inward. Your ritual might also include preparing your space. Maybe you tidy up your reflection area, eliminating any physical clutter that might distract you. Or perhaps you put on some soft, calming music to help you relax and focus. Now, let's be real for a moment. Finding time and space for reflection isn't always easy. Life is busy, and it can feel like there's always something demanding our attention. You might have kids running around, a demanding job, or a million other responsibilities pulling you in different directions. If this sounds familiar, don't worry. You're not alone. The key is to start small. Even 5 minutes of reflection can be valuable. Maybe you wake up just a few minutes earlier or use part of your lunch break. The important thing is to start somewhere. Remember, making time for reflection is a form of self-care. It's not selfish or indulgent. It's a necessary part of maintaining your mental and emotional health. By taking this time for yourself, you're actually better equipping yourself to handle all those other responsibilities in your life. Your reflection practice should fit your lifestyle, not the other way around. If you're a night owl, don't force yourself to reflect at dawn. If you have a hectic home life, maybe your car becomes your reflection space during your commute. The goal is to find what works for you. And remember, your needs might change over time. What works for you now might not work in a few months or years. Be open to adjusting your reflection time and space as needed. The most important thing is that you're making the effort to reflect regularly. Now that we've talked about finding the right time and place for reflection, let's dive into how to actually start your reflection practice. And we're going to start with something you're already doing right now, something you do about 20,000 times a day: breathing. Breathing might seem too simple to be important. After all, we do it all the time without even thinking about it. But here's the thing. Conscious breathing is one of the most powerful tools we have for calming our minds and preparing for reflection. When we're stressed or anxious, our breathing often becomes shallow and rapid. This type of breathing can actually trigger our body's stress response, making us feel even more anxious. On the other hand, slow, deep breathing sends a signal to our brain that everything is okay. It activates our body's relaxation response, helping us feel calm and centered. Let's try a simple breathing exercise right now. Don't worry, you don't need any special skills or equipment. Just find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Now, take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel your belly expand as you breathe in. Then, slowly exhale through your mouth, letting your belly fall. Try to make your exhale a little longer than your inhale. Do this a few times. Notice how it feels. You might feel your shoulders relaxing, your jaw unclenching. You might notice your thoughts starting to slow down. This is your body's relaxation response kicking in. If you find your mind wandering during this exercise, which is totally normal, by the way, try counting your breaths. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, then exhale for a count of 4. This is often called box breathing because you can imagine tracing the 4 sides of a box as you breathe. Counting your breaths gives your mind something to focus on, making it easier to stay present and avoid getting caught up in thoughts about the past or future. The great thing about breathing exercises is that you can do them anywhere, anytime. You don't need any special equipment or a lot of time. Even just a few mindful breaths can help center you and prepare you for reflection. Try to make conscious breathing a regular part of your day. Maybe you take a few deep breaths before you start your reflection practice. Or perhaps you use breathing exercises throughout the day to help you stay centered and focused. Think of conscious breathing as a bridge between your everyday life and your reflection practice. It's a way to transition from the external world to your inner world. As you focus on your breath, you naturally start to turn your attention inward. You become more aware of your body, your feelings, and your thoughts. This increased awareness is the foundation of effective reflection. When you're more aware of what's going on inside you, you're better able to explore and understand your experiences. Another powerful aspect of conscious breathing is its ability to help us manage our emotions. When we're caught up in strong emotions, it can be hard to reflect clearly. But by focusing on our breath, we can create a little space between ourselves and our emotions. This doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing our feelings. Instead, it's about observing them without getting completely caught up in them. From this more balanced state, we can reflect on our emotions more effectively, understanding where they're coming from and what they might be telling us. Like any skill, conscious breathing takes practice. At first, you might find it hard to focus on your breath for more than a few seconds. That's okay. Our minds are used to being busy, so it can take some time to learn to slow down and focus. Be patient with yourself. If you notice your mind wandering, gently bring your attention back to your breath. Each time you do this, you're strengthening your ability to focus and stay present. As you get more comfortable with basic breathing exercises, you might want to explore other techniques. There are many different breathing practices from various traditions around the world. Some involve visualizing your breath moving through your body. Others focus on breathing into different parts of your body. Feel free to explore and find what works best for you. The most important thing is that the practice helps you feel calm, centered, and ready for reflection. Finally, remember that breathing isn't just a preparation for reflection. It can be a form of reflection itself. As you breathe, you might notice tensions in your body, patterns in your thoughts, or shifts in your emotions. These observations can be valuable starting points for deeper reflection. For example, if you notice that your breathing is shallow and your shoulders are tense, you might reflect on what's causing this tension. Are you worried about something? Are you holding on to stress from earlier in the day? Just this simple act of noticing and questioning can lead to important insights. Now that we've learned how to create the right environment for reflection and how to use our breath to calm our minds, let's talk about one of the most powerful tools in our reflection toolkit: questions. Questions are like flashlights for our minds. They illuminate areas we might not have noticed before. They guide our thoughts in new directions. They help us dig deeper into our experiences and uncover new insights. When we reflect without questions, our thoughts can sometimes wander aimlessly. We might end up rehashing the same old patterns or getting stuck in unproductive loops. But when we use thoughtful questions to guide our reflection, we're more likely to gain meaningful insights and make real progress in our personal and spiritual growth. If you're new to reflection, it can be helpful to start with simple, straightforward questions. These might include: what am I feeling right now? What was the best part of my day today? What was the most challenging part of my day? What am I grateful for today? These questions help you tune into your current state and review your recent experiences. They're a great way to start building your reflection habit. As you get more comfortable with reflection, you can start to ask deeper, more probing questions. These might include: why did I react that way in that situation? What values of mine were reflected in my actions today? What fear is holding me back from doing what I really want to do? What patterns do I notice in my behavior or thoughts? These types of questions help you explore your motivations, beliefs, and patterns. They can lead to powerful insights about who you are and why you do the things you do. If you're interested in spiritual growth, you might include questions like: how did I connect with my higher power or sense of purpose today? In what ways did I grow spiritually today? How can I bring more compassion into my life? What does success mean to me from a spiritual perspective? These questions can help you explore your spiritual beliefs and practices and how they relate to your everyday life. Asking good questions is an art. Here are a few tips to help you craft questions that will lead to meaningful reflection. Use open-ended questions. Questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no don't usually lead to deep reflection. Instead, use questions that invite exploration and explanation. Be specific. Instead of asking, "How was my day?" try, "What moment today made me feel most alive?" Focus on feelings and experiences. Questions like, "How did that make me feel?" or "What was that experience like for me?" can lead to rich insights. Challenge your assumptions. Ask questions that make you think differently, like, "What if the opposite were true?" Look for lessons. Ask, "What can I learn from this?" or "How can I grow from this experience?" The question, "Why?" can be powerful, but it's important to use it carefully. Sometimes asking why can lead us into overthinking or self-criticism. If you find yourself getting stuck in negative thought patterns when you ask, "Why?" try reframing your questions. For example, instead of "Why did I mess up?" you might ask, "What can I learn from this mistake?" or "How can I do better next time?" These questions focus on growth and learning rather than self-blame. Consider keeping a list of reflection questions that resonate with you. You might write them in your journal or keep them on your phone. Each day, choose one or two questions to focus on during your reflection time. Over time, you'll likely find that certain questions are particularly meaningful or insightful for you. These can become your go-to questions, the ones you return to again and again to gain clarity and insight. Asking good questions is only half the battle. The other half is really listening to the answers. This means being open and honest with yourself. It means being willing to sit with uncomfortable truths or surprising realizations. When you ask yourself a reflection question, take time to let the answer emerge. Don't rush to the first thought that comes to mind. Instead, Sit with the question. Let it sink in. You might be surprised by the insights that bubble up when you give yourself time to really listen. Think of your reflection questions as conversation starters. They're opening lines in a dialogue with yourself. Just like in a conversation with a friend, one question often leads to another. Let your curiosity guide you. If an answer surprises you, ask why. If something feels important, dig deeper. While having a set of go-to questions can be helpful, it's also important to stay flexible in your reflection practice. Some days, you might find that a single question leads you on a deep journey of self-discovery. Other days, you might bounce between several different questions. Trust your intuition. If a particular question doesn't feel relevant or helpful on a given day, it's okay to set it aside and try a different one. The goal is to use questions in a way that feels natural and productive for you. When you're feeling stuck or frustrated, what small step can I take to move forward? When you're feeling grateful, how can I spread this feeling of gratitude to others? When you're facing a difficult decision, what would my wisest self advise me to do? When you're celebrating a success, what strengths did I use to achieve this? Having these question sets ready can help you navigate different emotional states and life situations more effectively. Remember, the art of asking good questions is a skill that develops over time. Don't worry if you feel like you're not asking the right questions at first. The very act of asking questions and reflecting on the answers is valuable in itself. As you continue your reflection practice, you'll likely find that your questions evolve. You might start asking deeper questions, or approaching familiar topics from new angles. This evolution is a sign of growth and deepening self-awareness. Embrace the journey of questioning. Each question you ask is an opportunity to know yourself better, to grow, and to live more intentionally. So keep asking, keep listening, and keep growing. ### writing down your thoughts. ### the power of journaling. Now that we've explored how to use questions to guide our reflection, let's talk about one of the most powerful tools for deepening our practice, writing. Specifically, let's dive into the world of journaling. Journaling isn't just for teenagers writing about their crushes or aspiring novelists jotting down story ideas. It's a powerful tool for self-discovery, emotional processing, and personal growth. When we write down our thoughts, we're doing more than just recording them. We're giving them shape and form, making them more concrete and easier to examine. You might be wondering, why write? Can't I just think about these things? While mental reflection is certainly valuable, there's something special about putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard. When we write, we engage different parts of our brain than when we just think. We have to organize our thoughts, put them into words, and structure them in a way that makes sense. This process often leads to new insights and connections we might not have made otherwise. Writing also slows us down. In our fast-paced world, our thoughts often race by at lightning speed. Writing forces us to slow down and really consider each thought. It's like catching butterflies. When we write, we're capturing those fleeting thoughts and pinning them down where we can examine them more closely. If you're new to journaling, the idea of starting might feel overwhelming. What should you write about? How much should you write? What if you're not a good writer? First, let's put those worries to rest. There's no right or wrong way to journal. Your journal is for you and you alone. It doesn't have to be well written or even make sense to anyone else. The only rule is to be honest with yourself. Start simple. You might begin by just writing for 5 minutes a day. You could write about your day, your feelings, or your thoughts about a particular question or topic. Don't worry about grammar or spelling, or even writing incomplete sentences if you don't want to. There are many different ways to approach journaling. Here are a few you might try. Stream of consciousness. Just write whatever comes to mind, without censoring or organizing your thoughts. This can be a great way to tap into your subconscious and uncover hidden thoughts and feelings. Gratitude journaling. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. This practice can help shift your focus to the positive aspects of your life. Question-based journaling. Use the reflection questions we discussed earlier as prompts for your writing. Dialogue journaling. Have a written conversation with yourself or with a part of yourself, like your inner child or your future self. Unsent letters. Write letters to people in your life or to yourself that you don't intend to send. This can be a great way to process feelings or conflicts. Sometimes, you might sit down to journal and find that you don't know what to write. That's okay. Here are a few strategies to overcome writer's block. Use prompts. Keep a list of journaling prompts that you can turn to when you're stuck. Start with "I feel." Simply describing your current emotional state can often lead to deeper insights. Write about your surroundings. If you're really stuck, start by describing what's around you. This can help get your pen moving and often leads to more personal reflections. Draw or doodle. Remember, your journal doesn't have to be all words. Sometimes a drawing or diagram can express things words can't. Like any new habit, consistency is key when it comes to journaling. Try to write at the same time each day, even if it's just for a few minutes. You might pair it with another habit, like having your morning coffee or just before bed. Remember, the goal isn't to write a masterpiece every day. Some days, your journaling might feel profound and insightful. Other days, it might feel mundane or repetitive. That's okay. The important thing is to keep showing up and putting pen to paper. While the act of writing itself is valuable, there's also power in reviewing what you've written. Every so often, take some time to read back through your old entries. You might be surprised by the patterns you notice or the progress you've made. This review process can be especially powerful when you're facing a challenge or making a big decision. Looking back at your past thoughts and experiences can provide valuable perspective and remind you of your strength and resilience. We've talked about creating the right environment for reflection, using our breath to calm our minds, asking powerful questions, and writing down our thoughts. But reflection isn't just about thinking and writing, it's about learning and growing. And for that to happen, we need to take action based on our reflections. It's one thing to have an insight during reflection. It's another thing entirely to actually make changes in your life based on that insight. This is where many people struggle with reflection. They might have profound realizations, but then they go back to their daily lives and nothing really changes. To truly benefit from reflection, we need to bridge the gap between insight and action. Here's how you can start doing that. Identify key insights. After each reflection session, take a moment to identify the most important thing you learned or realized. Set intentions. Based on your insight, set a clear intention for how you want to act or think differently. Create specific plans. Turn your intentions into concrete, actionable plans. What exactly will you do differently? Start small. Don't try to change everything at once. Choose one small action you can take today or this week based on your reflection. Check in regularly. Use your reflection time to check in on your progress. Are you following through on your intentions? If not, why not? Not every insight will lead to immediate positive change. Sometimes, you might set an intention and then struggle to follow through. That's okay. In fact, these challenges can be some of our greatest teachers. When you find yourself struggling to make a change, use it as an opportunity for further reflection. Ask yourself, what obstacles am I facing? What fears or beliefs might be holding me back? What support or resources do I need to make this change? Remember, personal growth isn't always linear. Sometimes we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. The important thing is to keep reflecting, keep learning, and keep trying. As you continue your reflection practice, make sure to take time to celebrate your progress. It's easy to focus on what we still need to improve, but acknowledging how far we've come is crucial for maintaining motivation and building self-confidence. In your journal, consider keeping a wins section where you record your successes, no matter how small. Did you respond to a difficult situation with more patience than usual? Did you take a small step toward a big goal? These are all worth celebrating. As you become more comfortable with reflection, you might want to deepen your practice. Here are a few ways to do that. Extended reflection sessions. While daily reflection is valuable, you might also benefit from longer, more in-depth reflection sessions. Maybe once a month, set aside a few hours for deep reflection. Reflection retreats. Consider going on a reflection retreat, either guided or self-directed. This can be a powerful way to gain new insights and reset your perspective. Sharing with others. While reflection is often a solitary practice, sharing your insights with trusted friends or a support group can add new dimensions to your learning. Integrating other practices, you might explore how reflection can complement other practices like meditation, prayer, or creative expression. As we wrap up our exploration of reflection, it's important to remember that this is a lifelong journey. There's no endpoint where you've mastered reflection. Instead, it's an ongoing process of self-discovery and growth. Your reflection practice will likely evolve over time. The questions that are meaningful to you now might change. The insights you gain will build on each other, leading you to deeper understanding and new areas of exploration. We've covered a lot of ground in our exploration of reflection. We've talked about creating the right environment, using our breath to center ourselves, asking powerful questions, writing down our thoughts, and learning from our reflections. But all of this knowledge is only useful if we put it into practice consistently. Making reflection a habit is like planting a garden. At first, it might feel like a lot of work for little visible result. But if you keep at it, day after day, you'll start to see growth. And before you know it, you'll have a lush, vibrant garden of self-awareness and personal growth. If you're new to reflection, don't try to do everything at once. Start small. Maybe you begin with just 5 minutes of reflection each day. Or perhaps you start by asking yourself one meaningful question each morning. The key is to make it so easy that you can't say no. If you tell yourself you're going to reflect for an hour each day, you might get overwhelmed and give up. But 5 minutes? Anyone can do that. Habits stick best when they're tied to existing routines. This is called habit stacking. Think about your daily routine. Where could you insert a few minutes of reflection? Maybe you reflect right after you brush your teeth in the morning. Or perhaps you use your lunch break as a time for reflection. By tying your reflection practice to something you already do every day, you make it more likely that you'll remember to do it. While consistency is important, it's also crucial to be flexible. Life happens. There will be days when your usual reflection time just doesn't work out. That's okay. The goal is progress, not perfection. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up about it. Just pick up where you left off the next day. Remember, reflection is a practice, not a performance. Consider keeping a simple habit tracker for your reflection practice. This could be as simple as putting an X on your calendar for each day you reflect. Seeing your streak of excess grow can be a powerful motivator. As you continue your reflection practice, pay attention to what's working and what's not. Maybe you find that you prefer reflecting in the evening rather than the morning. Or perhaps you discover that you prefer voice recording your reflections rather than writing them down. Don't be afraid to adjust your practice. The best reflection routine is the one that works for you. Consider sharing your reflection journey with others. This could be a friend, a family member, or even an online community. Sharing your commitment can help keep you accountable. Plus, you might inspire others to start their own reflection practice. Remember, developing a new habit takes time. Research suggests it can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days for a new habit to become automatic. So be patient with yourself. There will likely be times when you feel like you're not making progress, or when reflection feels difficult or uncomfortable. This is normal. Keep going. Often, the most valuable insights come after periods of challenge or resistance. We've journeyed together through the transformative world of reflection. We've explored how to create the right environment, use our breath to center ourselves, ask powerful questions, write down our thoughts, learn from our reflections, and make reflection a consistent habit. Remember, reflection is not about achieving perfection or reaching some final state of enlightenment. It's about continuous growth, self-discovery, and living more intentionally. As you continue on your reflection journey, be kind to yourself. Celebrate your progress, learn from your challenges, and stay curious about yourself and the world around you. Reflection is a powerful tool for personal and spiritual growth. It can help you understand yourself better, make more conscious choices, and live a more authentic and fulfilling life. So take a deep breath, ask yourself a meaningful question, and start your reflection journey today. Your future self will thank you for it. Remember, every moment of reflection is a step towards a more aware, intentional, and fulfilling life. You have within you all the wisdom you need. Reflection is simply the tool to unlock it. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of reflection. May your journey be filled with profound insights, meaningful growth, in moments of deep connection with yourself and the world around you.